Well, Merry Christmas, Glasgow Rangers Nation. That's right, it is Christmas Day, guys, and we are back with another video. Yes, even on Christmas Day. That's the kind of nutcase I literally am. When is it not a good time to talk Rangers? I don't think there's ever not a good time to talk about Rangers. Well, there's perhaps a couple, but let's not talk about that now because this is not only fans. Anyway, let's talk all things Rangers. Let's talk a little bit of fallout from yesterday's game against Motherwell with the Connor Goldson injury or possible injury that has left Philippe Clement very fed up about injuries. We're also going to talk a little bit about what Stuart Kettlewell had to say after the game. Man, that guy is an absolute tool. And also we're going to talk about Big Leon. Big Leon has been outstanding this season. We're going to talk a little bit about the pro-Celtic referee that has been appointed for the Old Firm game on the 30th. And we're going to also mention Yanis Hagi and why he could still yet return to Glasgow in January, given the fact his own coach at Alaveth has called him out. Yes, more of that to come. So hang on, guys. It is coming. Leave those presents to one side. Put that glass of eggnog or that box fizz down and get ready for some Rangers news. So Rangers came away with a fantastic 2-0 victory yesterday at Fir Park with a performance, well, an outstanding performance in the first half. Not so great in the second half. The second half was pretty horrific, but I think that was more down to the weather conditions than any sort of performance by Rangers. And as Todd Cantwell himself said in that post-match interview that he gave to the Rangers TV and obviously as well to a number of other sources, it was exceptionally difficult to get out of our half due to the weather conditions. So one worrying thing from yesterday was this sight on the field. Now, Conor Goldson is someone who, as we know, as a lot of Rangers players do, divides the fan base. There are those who love Conor, think Conor is essential to our defence, think Conor is a cornerstone of the Rangers defence. Yet there are those, obviously, that don't rate Conor, that think that he's too slow, that it's time for him to be moved on. I understand that, guys. I 100% understand that. It is the nature of our fan base. That's just how it's going to be until the end of time, whenever that does eventually come. But look, Connor Goldson has been, recently playing very well. I thought he was good yesterday. I thought he was a good 7 to 8 out of 10 yesterday. Very solid indeed. But it, of course, begs the question about when he went down injured, is this yet another bloody injury? And we've really suffered with injuries. Now, we are slightly more fortunate that at the back we do have John Suter, who is an exceptional defender. We have Leon King, who can play at the back. We also have Ben Davis as well. And Big Leon, who we're going to touch on in this video, has been absolutely outstanding. But according to the Daily Record and a number of other sources today, Rangers are sweating on the fitness of Connor Goldson ahead of the Old Firm game on the 30th. And obviously, of course, ahead of the Ross County game on Wednesday. So what is the situation? He went down with a groin injury. Now, apparently, this is something that has been a long-term thing for Connor, and he's been battling a niggle in that area for a number of weeks now, which is very, very worrying. That obviously there is a weakness there. Is it that actually it has gone today and that is it, and he'll be out for some time, or where are we up to? Now, this is what Philippe Clement had to say when he was interviewed post-match as regards this injury. And it's fair to say, I think, that Big Philippe is absolutely sick to death, sick to the back teeth of talking about injuries. Philippe said, Connor felt something at the end of the game, but we will see. Everyone is asking these questions, and I'm a little bit fed up, but I need to speak about it. I don't know. We'll see the day after, and then it's another game again. We take it day by day, what the situation is, and what the fitness of the players is. It's difficult to plan in advance, so I'm living from day to day. But for me, the most pleasing thing is that despite having 9 injured players, that's right, despite having 9 injured players, the structure stays with 2 midfielders in midfield who are not used to playing there. You don't see the difference. The team is really focused and concentrated to do the job together. Everybody knows what we are doing. We keep clean sheets. We keep winning games by being dominant. So, Clement is right in what he says, the fact that no matter what, it seems that next man up mentality has really come into force for Rangers this season. There is a real, mentality that players step up, and that Philippe Clement is preparing them for all these games with his incisive analysis, his game study, his meetings, and everything else. Now, it is very concerning that Connor Goldson is injured. with this groin injury. And as Philippe Clement says, it will depend very much on the results of scans. It will result on the assessment of Dr. Mark Waller and the rest of the Rangers medical team this week as to whether he'd be ready. Now, look, there's no way on God's green earth I would risk him against Ross County. I think that you give him that game off. You play John Souttar there. I think John Souttar and Leon Balogun, or John Souttar and Ben Davis, are more than enough to beat Ross County. Nothing against Ross County, not being arrogant, but I just think we've got enough talent there with those two to actually come through that game. If you've got Tav at right back, possibly Bornham at left back with Super Jack Butland in goal, I think there is more than enough there to overcome those. Now, for me, it is more essential that Connor is back and ready to play on the 30th. Going into that game at Parkhead, where we are going to have players missing, we're going to have injuries, obviously, with the likes of Jack and Raskin and Lunny and Cifuentes all out. We do need a situation where we have, our experienced players there. And given the change in attitude there seems to have been from these veteran players in terms of their mentality, in terms of their big game preparedness, having them back for the 30th for me is absolutely essential. So, I think it will be something that'll be ongoing. I think until we get the press conference and Philippe Clement gets a chance to talk again about injuries, which I know he is, as he said in his quote today post-match, absolutely fed up of. And I can understand that. 100% get it. Why would you not be frustrated talking about injuries? 9 players out, possibly now 10 players out. That would really piss me off if I was the manager. So look, we went and seeing that there is injury there and out for a number of weeks. It all depends, obviously, on how that scan shows up and what the assessment by the medical team comes out as tomorrow, this morning, and obviously Boxing Day as well. Okay, so let's move it along a little bit. Now, yesterday, Stuart Kettlewell, the Motherwell manager, yes, absolute knob that he is, was interviewed post-game, and he said that the foul by Cyril Dessers on Mikael Biereth should have been a penalty. Now, if you look at the stills of the foul, it is difficult to perhaps argue against that. Especially, I think, given the situation where, you've got a number of penalties being given to Rangers for pulls on the shirt. I get that. I understand that. And I 100% understand that. But look, let's deal with this in reality. Yes, the Sky Sports panel all said it should have been a penalty, but VAR is far from a perfect system. It really is. And there are a lot of weaknesses in the VAR system. We've seen that, the Dessers goal that was disallowed, the second one I'm talking about now, could have quite easily been allowed on another day. I think it very much depends on the match official watching the game. Now, was that penalty incident VAR checked? I don't know whether it was VAR checked or not. It is very much a case of, look, there's a possibility it was VAR checked. It was a possibility there that it came out as a penalty or not a penalty. We don't know what led up to it. We don't know what the situation is with the player. Is he already going down when Dessers grabs hold of his shirt? What is the situation with the player? Now, if we look at, like I said, if we look at the still of this image, I think it's difficult to argue that it wasn't a penalty, in my honest opinion. Like I said, I do have a referee. I'm not any superb referee. I'm not some super genius. I've never refereed at the top level. I've only refereed kids football, Sunday football, etc. But this is the still of the image, guys. Have a look at that. For me, the Dessers has got hold of his arm. For me, it probably should be a penalty. But I think for Stuart Kettlewell to argue is ridiculous. I mean, look, he benefited from 2 VAR disallowed goals in the second half. 2 VAR reviews that went against Rangers. The second one, I think, is highly dubious. I think the goal that Dessers scores, the second goal Dessers scores, there is an argument for, if the benefit of doubt is given to the attacker, which it's meant to be in the game, then both of those, but then that goal should stand. So I think it's a bit rich coming from Kettlewell coming out with that. I mean, especially given the fact that his team were thoroughly outplayed, didn't have a single shot on target. They didn't deserve anything from the game. He set his team up to fail with the way they played in the first half. I'll be honest with you, Motherwell didn't deserve anything. They didn't deserve a point. They didn't deserve anything. Their performance didn't merit it. Maybe, yes, that should have been a penalty, but I still think even if it's given and even if they score it, then Rangers still go on to win the game. I don't think that is open for dispute. Look, it will get the conspiracy theorists going. It will get that lot from across the city raging, as it always does when any mention of penalties and Rangers comes into focus. But it is what it is. Like I said, for me, Stuart Kettlewell needs to think before he opens his mouth and, really kind of reflect on his comments, because for me, it's utterly ridiculous. You benefited from 2 decisions in the second half. The Leicester's goal you benefited from. And at the end of the day, for me, Stuart, there's only one person to blame for your team losing. It's you. The way you set them up, the way you didn't even bother to attack us in the first half. You didn't set your team up to be successful. That your team made mistakes for the first goal. So for me, Stuart, it's you. It's down to you. It's solely down to you. So please don't come up with any theory it's the referee cheating. And I think we all know that referees in Scotland are very, very bad indeed. I just want to quickly mention from yesterday's game, Big Leon. Now, Leon Balogun, I thought, was absolutely exceptional yesterday. For me, he was the man of the match. He was just brilliant. He read the game superbly well. He showed a turn of pace that for someone of his age is utterly outstanding. Apparently when he went back into the dressing room and emptied his pockets, his car keys came out, his mobile phone came out, and Mikel Biereth fell out of his pocket. It literally was a case that he had Biereth, who's been one of the most effective strikers in Scotland this season, in his pocket. The incident, even when Biereth got away from him, that he went back at him, he won the tackle, won the ball, and was absolutely brilliant. And I think it's not just yesterday. It's not just the Motherwell game. I think all season, Leon Balogun has been absolutely outstanding. And he was there when we won 55. Maybe he's kind of like a good luck doll for the team. I don't know. Not that I'm calling Balogun a doll, but you know what I mean. He has been brilliant all season. And I think even Conor Goldson feels more confidence, feels more at home, feels just better when Leon Balogun is there. He just is an absolute confidence booster. He's solid in the tackle. He's no nonsense. He's exactly what we need. He brings the ball out from the back. He just is a quality player. So for me, Leon Balogun has had a brilliant season so far. And if you consider that when he was brought in merely as cover. And a lot of Rangers fans, including myself, even said that, if we're using Leon Balogun regularly, we're probably in trouble as regards injuries. But look, I don't think that's any fair reflection. Leon has been absolutely brilliant and has been rock solid at the back. And has probably been our best defender this season. And as someone who commented on my video said if he was only 6 years younger, it would be fantastic. Yes, absolutely, it would. Really impressed with Big Leon and how he has played this season. Obviously, we hope that he continues that fantastic form as the season goes on. That ruggedness, that reading of the game, that ability to bring the ball out, that ability to battle for the ball, to win aerial duels. He really is the all-round talent. Now, look, there's a lot of Rangers fans who are pushing for the club to recall Yanis Hagi in January and also to recall Alex Lowry given the injuries. Now, theoretically, I honestly think that that Lowry, I think, should stay at Hearts for the season. He's going to get more minutes there. He's going to get more first team opportunities there than he ever is at Rangers, given the fact that Todd Cantwell is by far our most outstanding 10. If we can ever get Tom Lawrence back, he is also a very good 10 as well. Sam Lammers is a 10. Philippe Clermont seems to, play him. I don't know why. I'd love to ask him why, because Lammers is awful. But, there are a number of players who can play in that 10 position. So for me, Lowry would struggle. Now, Haji benefits from the fact that he's not just a 10. He can play in a number of positions. Oh, there's that knob Kettlewell. There he is. There's old Yanis. So, look, I think we are all a little bit guilty of trying to rewrite history a bit on Yanis Haji. 55 season, yeah, he was very good. Following season, not so good, got injured. Is he still the same player? Has he lost another yard of pace, which he never had to lose? Although, let's face it, he does have an extra yard in him because of his skill, because of his talent. Now, according to the Spanish media, he is struggling on his loan spell with Alaves. Now, this obviously goes against what a lot of people were hearing at the start of the month, that on the start of the year, the start of the loan spell, sorry, the start of the season, that once he went out there, he was doing actually quite well. Now, at the weekend, Alaves lost 1-0 to Real Madrid. That's right, to Jude Bellingham and Real Madrid. No disgrace there. They are a very, very good team. But Madrid played the majority of the second half with 10 men, and Alaves boss Luis Garcia made changes. He brought Yanis Hagi on. Yanis is struggling for first team minutes there. Now, given that he's on loan and given that the intention of sending him on loan was to get first team football, it does seem quite odd that he's not getting that. He was brought on for the last 30 minutes of the game, but struggled to make any impact and was even called out by his manager, Luis Garcia, at the end of the game. Now, this could obviously spell a change in relationship between Haji and Alaves. Now, the understanding on the loan agreement is very much that Haji cannot return to Rangers in January unless Alaves approach Rangers to cancel the loan. Now, given the comments of Luis Garcia, is there an opportunity that this could possibly happen? This is what Luis Garcia had to say post-match about Yanis Hagi. He said, today was a game for him to have taken a step forward, and he hasn't. He played a bad game. We have to recover, continue lifting him up. For me, there are 3 games, 11 against 11. We have been very good. And then the article is jogging around. He then obviously went to say that obviously then with the 10 aside, it was different and that he never really stepped up. Against 10, we have not been good in attack. And then there is the last thing. There are mistakes that a soccer player cannot allow, and those points at the end of the season hurt us. Get up, learn, and keep working. Today couldn't have been more painful, and it couldn't happen. Every point for us is life. You get to the 90th minute and you have to score. The ending makes me very angry. We play the game to score points. We need to have learned better and insist to get better. Now, Haji has only featured in 14 games this season for Alaves and has really struggled to cement a place in the starting 11. Now, is this a reflection that perhaps Yanis Hagi isn't the player we think he is because he's struggling to hold down a place? Granted, Alaves are a team that plays in a very strong league, but how strong is their squad? If he is struggling to hold down a place, is he a player we actually really want back? That is a question that needs to be considered and thought about. But, given the fact that Luis Garcia is quite clearly unhappy with Haji and how he is performing, there is an opportunity there possibly that Rangers could recall him. But then you argue, would he get back into the team? Would we then send him out on loan to another team where he would play? It's an interesting question. Now, Haji obviously can play a number of positions. He can play as the 10. He can play as part of that 2 in from the back 4. He can play out wide. But, like I said, if he's struggling, and I know the standard is a lot higher in La Liga than it is in the Scottish Premier League. I understand that. Playing Real Madrid, playing Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, a very good Girona team this season, Sevilla, etc., Betis. There is a raise in standards there, and those teams are a lot stronger than any teams outside of Celtic that you face in the Scottish Premier League. So I get that. I understand that. But, given what Luis Garcia has said, is that opportunity there to actually, have that loan cancelled and for him to return in January? Philippe Clement has spoken in the past about wanting to run his eye over all Rangers players. And, that is obviously including those who are on loan. Now, I'm sure he sees them play on loan. I'm sure he has game footage of Lowry, of Haji and others. But, surely for him, the best way forward is obviously having him back on the training pitch and perhaps using him on the park on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Thursday or a Wednesday or a Tuesday, whenever we play, and having a look at him there. I think there is a real chance that come the end of the season, I think that's probably more likely that, that he will return and that possibly over the summer he will have a look at him and see whether he fancies him, see whether he's a player that he sees there is a part to play for this club. I don't know. It is very much up in the air, but it does seem that given Garcia's anger, there is that opportunity that he could be returned in January. Who knows? Who knows what will happen with Yanis Hagi? Okay, lastly this morning, whenever you're watching, guys, Nick Walsh has been appointed as the referee for the Rangers versus Celtic game at Parkhead. Yes, that's right, Nick Walsh of the VAR incident last season where he ruled out Alfie's goal. Nick Walsh, who hasn't been the kindest to Rangers in the past, so slightly worrying that the referee is perhaps more pro-Celtic than Rangers, or at least more pro-Celtic than neutral, given his previous decisions. Yes, it could be a lot worse. It could be Kevin Clancy. It could be Gollum. But it's still not great. It could be Don Robertson. He also is shit. But then again, I suppose you've got to accept the fact that absolutely all referees in Scotland are absolutely hopeless. Hugh Dallas been the last decent ref that we saw. Well, guys, Merry Christmas to you all. Hope you're having a great day, or will have had a great day, depending obviously when you're watching this video. Please continue to smash that sub and help the channel to grow. We'll be back tomorrow with the morning news video on Boxing Day. We'll also be on a podcast as well on Boxing Day night, previewing the game against Ross County on the Tuesday night, the Wednesday night. I can't remember when it is, 27th anyway. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, on the way out, if you could do me 2 favors, I would be very grateful. Number 1, smash the like. It helps the video to grow. And number 2, as always, never forget our city and we are the people.